Hello, everybody.
And hello as well from me.
All right. So, welcome to the Mikestand. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far as we've reached, of course, the middle of the week, which means hump day, getting over the hump of the week. Rick, what did you do today?
Not a lot. Worked a little bit on stuff for my comics. Watched a whole bunch of YouTube. Ate. Not
Hmm.
much. Played a couple games. Went and watched some stuff with my dad. Tried to do some cleanup, help him do some cleanup, but in part of his house, but he realized what he was wanting to do, he had already done. So it was like, oops, I can't do that.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, there we go. All right. So, so as I said, I hope as just as a friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So before we get to talking about basically what's on tap for tonight.
Some news
Rick,
of the day.
would you like to do your intro?
Oh, well, as most people here would know, I am, as my ticker says, I am Rick Piper of Cross Comics. How do I can't point to it right now. And I do some comic books. I have a few characters. Right now I have three out, three characters that is. And I'm not sure what else I can say, but yeah. I have a YouTube, Twitter, all that, so look for me, Cross Comics, and just subscribe or follow, whatever it might be. Everybody knows what it is. I'd put a link, but my internet is bad right now, so trying to get to any sort of links is not a good idea. I should have them in some sort of document so I can just grab and paste.
All right. So with that, then let me just do a couple of things. Yeah.
And unfortunately, which means with my internet being the way it is, I do not have YouTube up for you to give you the extra view. I'm just
Uh,
watching comments in the background here of
okay. So right now I'm the
the
only
duck.
other viewer on. In other words, you don't feel you have enough. You don't have enough signal strength to where you can have a second window open for YouTube. Is basically what you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
or second, another tab where it's going or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
no, as you know, normally I like to do that for you, but my signal strength, is precocious at best. It
All
seems
right. Well.
here
Well.
because
Yeah.
that's
Well.
because I'm so far from the house. I think I'm
All
I'm
right.
blessed
Well.
to have net.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're coming up on 4.5 minutes here, so we'll talk a little bit about what's on. So I do have one article from Bounding into Comics that we'll go over tonight. This one's going to be more anime related, as I
Okay.
guess now the fallout now people are starting to feel the fallout of the Funimation-Crunchyroll merger. So that's the so we're going to be looking at that article.
Uh-huh.
Also,
Cool.
also, of course, we'll have, of course, the wrestling wrap up in this day and age history. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started? Let me just pull stuff up. All right, let's see there. There we go with that, and then just double check that. So. Alrighty then. So, with that, let's go ahead and as always, guys, one if you haven't already, begin like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So let's get into this. As I said, we're going to go over one article tonight, and then get into the wrestling wrap up and this day in each history. Let's see. All right. So um, completion of Funimation-Crunchyroll merger results in over 100 anime titles being made digitally unavailable to Western audiences, including Astro Boy, Slayers, and Mobile Suit Gundam. Now, I wonder which Astro Boy because there's several. There, 63, 80. There's one in the 90s. There's one in the 2000s. So, like 3 or 4 of them out there. So, article,
Maybe all of them.
yeah. Article by Nerdigans Inc. Published yesterday. Well, let's get into this. In a result that will no doubt bolster the very anime piracy the newly formed entity is seeking to combat, thanks to various licensing issues that arose during the acquisition process, the recent completion of the previously announced Funimation-Crunchyroll merger has rendered a worrying amount of titles, all of which were previously hosted on the former platform, completely unavailable to streaming audiences.
Oh wow, that is doesn't sound like a good thing for this deal going through. Then
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, there have been problems people have been having with the whole idea of the merger to begin with, but as previously reported in August 2021, so about 2.5 years ago, I guess, uh, the Sony-owned Funimation announced that not only had they acquired Crunchyroll for roughly 1.175 billion US dollars, but also, as part of the deal, their own service and library of anime would eventually be folded into the latter in order to better streamline their offerings. Basically, the idea of putting everything on one site, basically, I guess, is what they were going for. And while many fans had hoped they would still be able to legally access all of Funimation's library following the merger, reality has since proven to be far more consumer unfriendly, as following the initial confirmation that digital copies of Funimation titles would not be supported by Crunchyroll, which did not go over well with a lot of fans.
yeah,
Basically, what. Go ahead, Rick.
yeah. I was gonna say, but and that makes no sense if Funimation is buying Crunchyroll. Why wouldn't they be able to put those? I think that's what it is. Funimation's buying Crunchyroll, right? Well, at that
Yeah,
point, it's like,
basically Funimation and Crunchyroll merged, basically. So I think Sony bought Crunchyroll and folded it. Basically, what was going on here with this was that um, what what was hoped by a lot of the consumers is that if, let's say, they had bought a series, right? Let's say they bought one of the series to view digitally on the Funimation site, right? Um,
yeah,
if Now what they did, they shut down the Funimation site and try to put everything on the Crunchyroll site. Okay, they were folding it all onto one site. The thing was, what was hoped is that people could just simply transfer over the data from the Funimation site to the Crunchyroll site, and people could just simply, people could simply, they could, those series that they bought, it would still count as being bought, and they could just continue watching where they left off. That's the reality of the situation. That is not the case. People
Ah,
not only will they have to start watching it all over again if they want to, rewatch it, or, but also they'll actually have to pay again for the series. So if you are halfway through the
yeah.
series, all that watch history just got scrapped, basically.
Well, I wouldn't care so much about the watch history. That's neither here nor there. But it's more you've paid to watch it, so in a sense, you would say I would think, or are you paying to watch it or paying to own it? There's the question, which just uh really says something. If you're buying it, some program by a show, I should say, not program,
Mm-hmm.
digitally, maybe it's better not to buy it digitally and buy it physically. That way, you actually have it.
Mm-hmm.
This is, it definitely seems like a flaw in things.
Yeah,
Um,
basically
you
the
would think,
idea was
but if
that they had hoped that it would simply transfer over and they just continue watching what they'd been watching. But as it
yeah.
turns out, because of how they did it, apparently now people have to rebuy the series they had already bought. You know,
Yeah. Now, I do not understand how obviously they work. I thought Crunchyroll. Anyways, I'm not sure about Funimation. I thought it was more like for Crunchyroll a subscription service where you paid so much a month and you could watch whatever's on their site on that
yeah,
site.
they're both subscription services.
So
Okay.
you're not really paying to watch a certain series. You're just paying for the subscription of the site, like
Well,
Crunchyroll
yeah,
or
I mean,
Funimation.
it's well, yeah. So, I think in some respects you can buy certain series, specifically. Um,
Okay.
I don't know all the full workings either, but I think basically,
Like I'm
yeah.
thinking Crunchyroll work like Netflix or Disney Plus or one
Well,
of
I think
those
that's what it's
major or
supposed to be, yeah. But I think that's
Amazon
what.
Prime. So like if with those, if you have your subscription, you can watch anything. You're not buying a particular show. And I would think maybe obviously in the transferring of the data over something didn't go quite right. You could easily just pick up where you left off. That would be easy enough when one
Yeah,
streaming service
but
pick up.
apparently that's not the case, and I've heard from some of the previous reporting on it, I've heard that they've had to like kind of
But it's
rebuy
not.
things basically, and that's
Yeah,
that's one of the things that's really one of the things that's really upsetting a lot of people is that they
yeah,
actually have to pay again for something they've already paid for. So that's
yeah.
apparently an issue.
You,
Oh,
yeah,
maybe they do buy
you.
the specific. Maybe they do buy the series digitally. I don't. Again, I know there's a subscription
Yeah,
service, and then there's So
yeah. Now Funimation, like I said, I'm not sure how it works, but if they had like a subscription service, you would think they would just be able to switch the account over to Crunchyroll. Either that, or with Funimation going quote unquote their subscription going service out of business, you would think they would reimburse their um clients,
oh,
that
that's what it was. It was they have to basically people. Okay, so what I think one of the issues was is that they had the subscription to Funimation, and because of the merger, people thought that the subscription would still be honored. Okay, that they have to rebuy the subscription to get their stuff basically, and that's
yeah,
what's hitting a lot of people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I get that for sure. You know, I would be sort of pissed about that. Like I said, you would think it would be easily transferred over. If not, give a reimbursement so then I can go and get it at Crunchyroll without paying the full amount. Well, you pay the full amount, but you've been reimbursed part of what your subscription. Say you were 6 months in, and you only got, you bought a year subscription, and um, you get another 6 months back. So at least when you go to get the Crunchyroll and you're paying for that year, at least it's already half paid for because, well, assuming they're the same price, anyways.
right? And some people
But
are saying it
yeah,
might not be because essentially with the merger, basically there is a bit of a monopoly in the Western anime dub scene now with Crunchyroll slash Funimation basically taking over even though um like Sarah like Sentai Filmworks with High Dive is still kind of somewhat competitive, but they're not like as competitive. And then you got New York. So, anyways, let's continue on with the
yeah,
article here. It
yeah,
is now it has now been discovered that several titles have been lost, or at least partially so, in the digital shuffle. Per a list compiled by one of the moderators of Crunchyroll Discord server, verified by Bounding into Comics against the streaming database Just Watch, following the April 2nd completion of the merger, over 100 Funimation licensed titles are now sitting in digital purgatory, unavailable to stream or purchase digitally anywhere online. Uh, let's
yeah.
see.
But I'm sure they'll figure that out in a little bit to stream it, and then purchase it.
So it was the 1980 Astro Boy series they're talking about. Then these titles include Dot Hack, Legend of the Twilight. So some of these titles are titles they picked up from other dub companies, who had previously had them licensed and now are licensing them for broadcast on their own system. But yeah, the all the Dot Hack series here. So Dot Hack, Legend of the Twilight, Dot Hack Quantum, Dot Hack Roots, Dot Hack Sign. Let's see, a certain magical index, a miracle of Endymion. So these are the titles that are unavailable for some reason. Um, Aliens versus Ninjas, Aquarion Logos, all the Aria. So they got the Aria franchise from. Well, okay, so Aria, the Secret Ammo Double A, is totally different from the other Aria there. Aria, the OVA, Arietta, Aria, the Origination, that little secret place.
Um,
Aria, Aria,
well,
the
um,
Avenire, which
uh, I get you want to be thorough, but remember it said over 100 titles. So do you want to read through 100 different titles? Over a
I can
hundred
probably do it
titles?
pretty quickly, but just explain, like, what I'm
Yeah.
going to explain with little notes here and there. Like, those three Aria titles were actually, I think, originally licensed by, maybe by one of the New York, because it's the New York um, voice actors who actually dubbed that, like Veronica Taylor, um, Carol Jacobinis among them who did those, and Aria the Secret Ammo Double A, Armitage 3, the Armitage series, Astro Boy, Athena Goddess of War, Bakemonogatari, Boulder Force X, Blessing of the Campanella, A City Under Siege live action, Classroom Crisis, Code Geass, and apparently they don't list all of them here, I guess, or they might, but See the Money of Soul and Possibility Control, Confucius live action, Dora Miger, Dorara, Escalone the movie. Oh yeah, so basically all of those right there. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
Which
just,
is quite a
I just,
few,
I got your point there. There's Slayers, which is another popular one. Meanwhile, the following titles are no longer available to stream on the Funimation Crunchyroll platform. but can still be purchased from various. So, okay, so I guess there's two options. You have a subscription service where you can stream it, or you can actually purchase it from the digital store. So I think they do both
Yeah.
there. And we're not. I'm not
Yeah.
going to read all these, but I'll just kind of. Some of the titles were previously licensed by other companies, and so there we go. Oh wow, that one didn't take long at all. Maybe I could have spent more
Yeah.
time reading
Well,
all those titles, but
yeah. Well, yeah. Since there's not so much, there's nothing after. If you want to go back and read a few more, yeah, it's not so bad. I didn't. I thought there was going to be a lot more to read besides
so did
the
I. Well,
titles.
I
So
guess then maybe we can just go through just so people can know what titles they're talking about here. These are the
yeah.
titles, and I guess you can't. And we already went through a few of them. Armitage 3, Polymetric, Astro Boy, Athena, Bake Monogatari, Boulder Fort. Okay, so we read all those. See, um, let's see, Free Orchestra Concert 2020, Galaxy Angel Season 4, Gaimon Live Action, How, Her Chica, Haruta and Chica, Heaven's Lost Property, Angel Lloyd of Clockwork, High School Fleet, the seasons 5 through 7 of Iki Tozen, Kimba the White Lion, seasons 2 and 3, Koyo Monogatari. Now, one of the things I found out too is the term Monogatari in Japanese, I believe, means story or fairy tale or something like that. The Chevalier Dayon, which was previously licensed by ADV, so that's one of the titles that Funimation picked up from them.
Okay.
Mecha
I'm gonna be right
Cookie.
back. I'm gonna be
What
right
was
back.
that?
I want to grab something. I'm gonna be right back. I want to grab something to drink while you're reading
All right.
these names.
All right. Let's see. Minami K, Mobile Suit Gundam seasons 3 and 4, Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn Specials, uh, Puchimas, Psychic Squirrel Wars, Rage of Bahamut, Rainbow Days, Renal Magica, Samurai Flamenco, Sengoku Basara, The Last Party, which I think that anime is based on a pretty popular video game. Seraphim the End Season 3, Sergeant Frog Seasons 5 through 10, Shonen Hollywood, Holy Stage for 49, Shonen Hollywood, Holy Stage for 50, Show by Rockstar, Silver Spoon, Season 3 of Seraphim, Seraph of the End. Wow, so they mentioned that twice there. Typo, Smuggler, Live Action, Steins Gate the Movie, Lord Region of Deja Vu, Steins Gate, Open the Missing Link, Divide by
And hi,
Zero,
Timothy.
The
We got
Slayers.
Timothy in the chat.
Hey Tim. Yeah, so we just went over an article about Pucci Maz Street. No, not Street Fighter. What up, Rick? Basically, so the Funimation-Crunchyroll merger has gone through, and now they're talking about titles that either are no longer available at all because people can't access them, or titles that are just now available through the digital store.
Yeah,
Because
well, they're not available in the Crunchyroll digital store, but or Funimation digital store, but they're available at some other digital stores online. Just not Crunchyroll or Funimation.
yeah, so anyways, and if you haven't already, if you can, of course, like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So let's see: Street Fighter, Assassin's Fist, Tales of Vesperia, The First Strike. So these are basically titles that are not available on either the Funimation or on the Crunchyroll site now because of some of the. So season 3 of Tenchi Muyo, season 2 and 3 of Tenchi Universe, Season 2 of Asterisk War, The Legend of Legendary Heroes, Season 3 of The Melancholy Haruhi Suzumiya. So let's see, the Tenchi series was initially dubbed and licensed out in LA here. So was The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and that one was still pretty popular. Let's see, The Sword with No Name, The Tommy Galaxy, The Women Knight of Mirror Lake, T.O. Movie, Tokyo ESP, Ultimate Otaku Teacher, Vindred Operation, World Congress, Zvezda, Plot, You're Being Summoned, Azazel's Son. Meanwhile, the
And
following.
yeah, you can. I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna say, yeah, you can't. You can't. Wait, you can't watch Street Fighter. No, not at the moment. You can't watch it on Crunchyroll. I'm not sure whether you have Crunchyroll subscription or not, Tim, but I'm sure you could get it via other means. But
Yeah. Well,
eventually,
yeah,
most
because
likely
of
be
this.
back on the
Yeah,
on.
one of the first statements they said in this is that because of all this garbage going on now, in their attempt to kind of curb piracy, it's only going to cause more piracy to happen.
Yeah,
Basically. So
yeah. Well, and that's more in the short term. Well, it depends on whether the companies get this stuff back up and on their, the Crunchyroll site, you know, anytime soon. The sooner they can get it on, obviously. This is more that this stuff isn't there more because there was some sort of glitch, for lack of a better way of saying it, in the transfer of stuff. So this stuff just hasn't been transferred or whatever. I'm not sure what their great term would be. Um,
well, some people would, Tim goes piracy is our only option. Some people would say yeah, because basically, I think some people want to stick it to like the American dub voice actors and particular Funimation dub voice actors, partly for what they did to Vic, but also just their overall dumbness.
yeah.
Anyways, just and he now this is meanwhile the following titles are no longer available to stream on the Funimation-Crunchyroll platform, but can still be purchased from various digital stores. So this is probably one of the things I was telling you about earlier, Tim, when people had for the stuff they had purchased from the digital stores, they had to actually go and rebuy the stuff from the digital stores. And that's another
Yeah.
thing that
And,
kind of got.
yeah, and this time it wouldn't be the Crunchyroll, the Funimation store slash Crunchyroll store. And,
Yeah.
and I
But,
think these people should be compensated if they bought it at some point, um, digitally,
but
and
they're
they're no
not.
longer.
But they're not being compensated. That's one of the big things. A lot of people,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what a lot of people. They're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not planning on reimbursing people the cost of it. So they have to. If they want to watch it, they basically have to rebuy it and then rewatch it from the beginning. A lot of their
Well, yeah,
problems.
they wouldn't have to rewatch it from the beginning. If it's a series, if you're buying it, you could just pick up where you left off. Of course, that'd be easy enough. Because I would assume you're buying the whole series. But say you've watched seasons 1 and 2, and you just need season to watch season 3. Why would you buy seasons 1 and 2 then, unless you want them digitally? I would just buy season 3 at that point myself. If I'm good, and at that point, I would just, if I was going to rebuy them, I'd make sure it's physical because then this stuff can't happen. And this has been something that's been proposed is why having things just
Why
digitally is a bad idea.
I know Yellow Flash when he's covered this stuff. That's exactly what he says too. Physical copies are always better than than digital.
Digital.
You know that ultimately is the best way to go about it. So anyways, um, so these are the ones that can be purchased at a digital store, but no longer are streaming. A Certain Magical Index, Season 2, A Good Librarian, Like a Good Shepherd, I, Yori, Ocean, another title that was originally licensed out of LA, you know, um, Angel Link, that was licensed up in Canada, Appleseed, 13, Aquarion Evol, Armitage 3, Attack on Titan live action movies, Bento, Blaze Blue, After Memory, See the Money of Soul and Possibility Control, Season 1, Castle Town, Dandelion, Cheer Boys, uh, Dime, Dime Dollar, Prince versus Penguin Empire, and a bunch of Dragon Ball stuff, Dragon Ball movies, Dragon Ball Z Special History of Trunks, Rekka 7, Goes in the Shell 2 Innocence, which is a movie, Gunslinger Girl 2, Gunslinger Girl Il Tarantino Season 2, which was a title that was previously licensed by Sentai, Heavy Object, Iki Tozen Seasons 1 through 4, Inari Kon Kon. Iki Tozen, I think, had been previously licensed out here in LA, I think maybe by Viz Media or Bang Zoom, one of the two. Kitty Grade and Luck and Logic, Moon Phase, My Bride is a Mermaid, Ninja Slayer from Animation, Noreen. Noreen, I think, was another one that was originally licensed. That one I know was licensed, I believe, by Pioneer Genion. So going back quite a few years there. Pandora in the Crimson Shell, Go CERN, Riddle Story of the Devil, Rurouni Kenshin live action movies 2 and 3, Selector Infected, Wick Sauce, Sengoku Basara, Samurai King Season 3. And there's a, and let's see, yeah, that one I think was done by Funimation. The Season 2 of Seraphim in the End, Serial Experiments Lane, that was another one that was licensed out here in LA. I believe that one was by Genion. Show by Rock, Season 3, Soul Eater Not. Storm, like, unless I say otherwise, most of these were always licensed by Funimation on whatever company they. And then the Tenchi series was licensed by more or less by LA again, Genion, I believe. Tenchi Muyo Season 1 and 2, Tenchi Universe Season 1, Heroic Legend of Arslan, The Legend is Born Ipman, The Rolling Girls, The Vision of Escalfone. That one was licensed up in Canada by Ocean Studios. Viz Media was the company that licensed it, but Ocean Studios was the one that dubbed it. The Unbreakable Machine Doll, Vexile, Visual Prison, Yataman Knight, Yurikuma Arashi, and Zillion. And there we go with that one. So got through all those titles.
Yeah. Well, at least put a few more minutes in there going through it, since we found out that after the titles there was no more to the article. So I figured, why not go through them?
Yeah, I figured as such. But anyways, so now we're gonna move on. Go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up then a bit here.
Maybe if we've got another small article, because it is only 34 past the hour.
Yeah, I get. Well, I was trying to, because I've been going so many over the hours. Sometimes whenever we try to look for a shorter art. I guess I'll go over to
you can click on one and just you can click on one that you think it might be short and just speed through it. Don't read it, just to see how long it is, to see whether we could get through it in like 10 minutes or so, 15 the max.
Yeah. Well, first off, let me just. Well, there are a few more stories here that let's see. These
You know,
look like.
but it's all ultimately up to you. If you want to do wrestling wrap up now, feel free. You know,
I
this
can.
is
I
your
guess
show, of
you
course.
do make a point. I could probably. I could probably see if they're one I feel short enough to, maybe give us only make like 10 minutes, but because
And Tim had said
we read that one last night. More on
charge.
yeah. Jason Aaron returns to Marvel. Yeah, yeah. Most of these are going to be and indie comics. I save for tomorrow night
Thursday, yeah,
or Thursday nights.
yeah,
That one does take pretty much the whole show, or just about like it's
yeah.
the movie. At least while I'm looking through this stuff, of course, it just
Eh,
Skybound addresses alleged use of Korean animation studios. All right, let's see. That one might be something that okay. They would. Let's see. Where are we at on 36 minutes? Maybe I will do that Skybound story. I guess. Let me at least take a look more. Well, yeah, to just see how long that one's liable to be, and see if there's.
yeah, you look at it, see whether it's long or not. You know, and you don't show anybody.
Actually, yeah, actually, that does look kind of looks kind of like a quickie. So I guess we'll do this one then. Skybound
Okay.
addresses alleged use of Korean animation studio. So, um, yeah, okay. I think we'll be able to punch through that real quick here. All right, so Skybound Entertainment is getting ahead of a potential scandal. The studio created by Robert Kirkman and home of titles like The Walking Dead and Invincible, um, put out a statement this week addressing concerns that they might be working with a North Korean company. They explained that there is an unconfirmed report of a cloud storage server connected to a North Korean IP address, and that it contains an invincible animation sketch. Were you about to say something, Rick?
No, well, just the screen hasn't popped up for me yet, and it's probably just my internet because you're freezing and so
Oh, all
I'm not
right.
just not able to
It
see
probably
the
had
article
because
you
I
published.
hadn't actually. I just started reading. I didn't even realize that I hadn't.
Oh, you hadn't put it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't even realize I did that until I came back and looked real quick. That was the problem. Anyways, the official statement reads, quote, quote, we do not work with North Korean companies or any affiliated entities and have no knowledge of any North Korean companies working on our animation. Our policies strictly prohibit any subcontracting to any third party without our express prior written consent, which in this case was neither sought nor granted. We also mandate that all our service providers fully comply with all applicable rules and regulations and prohibit disclosures of materials of our service providers to third parties. Skybound Entertainment takes these allegations seriously and has initiated a thorough internal review to verify and rectify any potential issue. We have also notified the proper authorities and are cooperating with all appropriate bodies. So essentially, what it sounds like happened here is people, I guess, somehow, I guess, an animation sketch from Skybound got onto a North Korean server and people started thinking
Yeah.
that maybe Skybound was giving work off to a North Korean company, and I
Yeah.
guess
Which
you
is,
know
which to me is a little ludicrous. If it's only one sketch, I'm sure there's some reasonable explanation how it got
North
there.
Korea is. I think North Korea is the communist half of Korea, basically,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
therefore there wouldn't be a lot of business being done by people with that. So
Yeah, yeah,
um,
and I get that, I get that that's, that half. It's just like I said,
that's why it's kind of an
yeah,
issue.
but like it's like one sketch. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, shall we say, to think that they're working for it. If it was, like a full episode or a whole bunch of sketches, more than one sketch, one isolated little incident,
Well,
going,
apparently though it wasn't. It must have been enough to get people talking about that as a possibility. But
oh, oh, oh,
obviously, maybe it's something a little bit more than that because obviously they felt they had to make a statement about it, and apparently it may
well,
have been done without their knowledge too. But
yeah, well,
anyway,
they're making a statement about it because some people, I'm not sure who, made a fuss that one image. That's what the article's saying. One image, one sketch was found on a North Korean, you know, IP address. So it's like, okay, you want to make a big deal about one sketch on a North Korean. Is it the original source of it? Of course, they probably would know one way or another. There's a whole bunch of stuff to consider before making a big uproar about this, in my opinion, anyways, Um,
the sanctions on North Korea would prohibit Skybound from using animation studios based in North Korea. Hence, the company wanting to nip these rumors in the bud. So basically, there's still sanctions against North Korea going on.
yeah,
And if even a hint of the possibility of Skybound working with them, Skybound could get in trouble with the U.S. government there at
yeah,
that point.
yeah. And that's definitely a reason for them to possibly get a bit out of joint, um, especially once the allegation comes up. But somebody bringing up the allegation over one sketch, I think is a bit unwarranted. Maybe if you went looking and before you made some sort of um, allegation, you found a whole bunch more and said then did it. Yeah, I could see, you know, but
Mhm.
just one sketch, I think it's a anybody making it, an individual or company making an allegation, you'd almost think it was a competitor doing this to try to
Yeah. Well, that's a possibility, but
sabotage them.
basically, what they're saying here is that it contains an invincible anime sketch, um, so they felt the need to say something about it. So,
Yeah,
obviously,
once the allegation is out there, especially with the severity of it, I can see Skybox, you know,
Skybound,
saying something,
Skybound,
Skybound having to deal with it because of what it is. I'm just saying before the person that made the allegation, I think they were jumping the
yeah.
gun a little.
Well, what they're saying here too, it was an unconfirmed report, so um,
Yeah, again,
concerning
even
a
more
cloud
so.
burst. All right. So, anyways, so now would be a good time to get into the wrestling wrap up, as it were.
Oh, is
Um,
that the end of the article?
yeah, that was that. Yeah, that article went very quickly, so that's
Oh
why
yeah,
we're able.
for sure. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So
I didn't even realize we're at
we're
the
about
end.
quarter till now. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
that my instincts were right there. So in the wrestling route here, of course, the big news coming out of WWE today is that Vince McMahon finally responded to Janelle Grant's lawsuit. For those of you who don't know, Janelle Grant is suing Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and the WWE, claiming, basically trying to avoid an NDA, claiming that he and Laurinaitis sexually assaulted her, this, that, and the next thing. And McMahon, of course, replied, no, everything was consensual. And according to the NDA agreement, we have to go through an arbitration. We have to go through an arbitration process. So he's trying to get that taken care of. So he has responded. Seeing some other, of course, WWE news, of course, Becky Lynch having won the women's world title on Monday. Apparently, there are some fans out there who are not apparently been too receptive of it. And on the videos covering that story, apparently have garnered more dislikes and likes on it. In other
Yeah, but
WWE
the
news,
thing is, the thing for that, there's always going to be some fans that dislike or dislike who won the title. Like like
yeah.
I remember a couple of times that like I wasn't a fan who won the title or some title in WWF. It's like, but it happens.
And then on last night's
Especially me.
NXT, of course, Trick Williams became the new NXT champion, which is further confirming to some folks that Ilya Dragunov, who is currently on the NXT brand, will probably be getting drafted to one of the main brands at the draft this I think coming week or so. So that's all the WWE news. Now to get to on tonight's AEW Dynamite, John Moxley in the main event. John Moxley will be defending the IWGP Championship, which he won a week ago Friday at New Japan's Windy City event. He'll be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Title against Powerhouse Hobbs of the Don Callis family. In a number one contendership casino gauntlet match to see who will become the next number one contender to the AEW International title. You have Jay Lethal, Lance Archer, Kyle O'Reilly, who recently challenged and lost to Roderick Strong at this past Sunday's Dynasty. Penta El Zero Miedo, Will Ospreay, Jay White, Commander, and Dante Martin. Those individuals will be participating in a casino gauntlet match. In a women's match, Mina Shirakawa takes on Anna Jay. And in a world title eliminator match, Swerve Strickland takes on Ring of Honor television champion Kyle Fletcher. Now, as I've explained before, the idea of the eliminator matches is for the challenger, it's a chance to earn a shot at the world heavyweight champion or at a title contender. Okay, so in the eliminator match, in this case, the world title eliminator, the challenger has an opportunity to earn a title shot. If he can beat the world champion in a match, then he will get a title shot at some point down the road. But if he loses, then he, of course, is eliminated from competition for the foreseeable future. So,
yeah. Although I do have a question. What is a casino gauntlet match? Or do you know?
My guess is well, it's probably a gauntlet match with a casino theme to it, I guess. And a gauntlet match, and I know that's going to be your next question. What is a gauntlet match? A gauntlet match is basically when you have a series of wrestlers. You start off with two of them in the ring, and then the person, and you basically have to. It's like you're running a gauntlet, basically. So you have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 contenders here. So you start off with 2 contenders. The winner of that first fall, as it were, continues on to the next contender. And they keep continuing until somebody beats them. It's like, okay, so let's say they start off with Jay Lethal and Lance Archer. Okay. Let's say Lance Archer beat Jay Lethal. And then he goes right into facing Kyle O'Reilly. And he beats
Yeah,
O'Reilly.
so basically you start off with one match, and the first two competitors they have a potential of having to do 7 matches, where the last competitor
Right.
has potential of only doing one match that he has to win.
Right.
But the first two
I'd
have
say that
to win
it's
at
like
least
running a
7.
gauntlet, basically, where basically you win and you continue, you lose and you're out. So,
Yeah,
so for those who are starting the gauntlet, obviously, um, those at the very beginning of the gauntlet, they have the hardest task because they have to potentially defeat 7 opponents to win the match. Whereas the ones more at the last one obviously only has to win one match, but they also only have to lose one match. You know, um,
yeah,
I don't know if in a case of a draw, if you have a draw in there, I would imagine then the next 2 competitors would come in then. If you because I would think that in a case of a draw, well, I don't think you'll see a draw per se because I think the match keeps going until you've run the gauntlet,
somebody's
basically.
finished. Yeah,
Yeah. In other words, basically, falls keep happening until you get to the end. So, but again, I think it's probably just a gauntlet match with a casino theme to answer your question. So,
okay.
So with that, that's all I got for you in terms of the wrestling wrap up for tonight. So now, with today being
The
Wednesday,
24th.
Wednesday, April the 24th, 2024. Let's take a look back at this day in each history. History. 19. All right. All right. So first, I'm going to head back 60 years ago today. 60 years ago today, on this date back in 1964, and this kind of a follow up to something we talked about the other day in the history segment. Dick the Bruiser and Wilbur Snyder are recognized as the first WWA World Tag Team. So that's the World Wrestling Association. 2 days prior to that, we talked about how Dick the Bruiser had won the Worldwide Wrestling Associates World Heavyweight Championship, and then that was eventually recognized as the first World Wrestling Association World Heavyweight Championship in Indiana when they started up the promotion later in the year. So on the 24th, Dick the Bruiser and Wilbur Snyder were recognized as the first World Wrestling Association's World Tag Team, the WWA based out of Indianapolis. That happened 60 years ago today. You about to say something, Rick?
I just said cool.
All right, so moving on now to 1999, 25 years ago today. On this date in 1999, Studio Dean's You're Under Arrest, the movie, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 1999. So 25 years ago today. Now, You're Under Arrest was an manga anime franchise. Elk is here. Hail, Xenu and Xena. Yeah, we're
Hey,
pretty much at the end of the show now, my friend. Uh, um, yeah, so on this date, 25 years ago today, You're Under Arrest, the movie from Studio Dean, was released in Japanese theaters. And also, um, let's see. Moving ahead to 2009, on this date in 2009, Marvel Animation's Iron Man Armored Adventures premiered on Nicktoons on this date back in 2009. So 15 years ago today, Marvel Animation's Iron Man Armored Adventures
That was a
um,
good series too. They
premiered
portray
on this date. Premiered on this date back in 2009.
that was a pretty good series. Yeah, it portrayed if I remember right, portrayed what's his name, Tony Stark as a kid instead of um creating the armor, in his 30s or whenever he did in the Marvel comics. Normally, it had him create it when he was a teenager, and with Pepper Potts around, and Rhodey, and they were all going to school together.
Uh, anyways, and finally, on this date 5 years ago today, on this date 5 years ago today, um, on this date 5 years ago today, the first issue of Ascender from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2019, 5 years ago today. Sold for $3.99, was 32 pages. So the first issue of Ascender from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2019. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. And before we head out, Rick, would you like to do an outro?
Just as I said earlier at the beginning, for those that don't know, I'm Rick Piper of Cross Comics, as you probably already saw. And just go find me here on YouTube and subscribe and help me try and get up to that 1,000 subscribers. And of course, try and help me get right now 3,000 watch hours so I can get monetized.
All right. So with that, I thank everyone for being here. We'll be back here tomorrow with more, of course, need to.
And
Well,
later,
tomorrow we'll be doing the indie comic indie comic showcase, and I should have, I believe, Tim Olson will be joining me then for that. We'll be going over, and then on Friday, of course, we have Apex Comics coming in, and we will be looking at comics that went on sale. We're continuing our look back to February 1940 comics that went on sale, focusing in on Fiction House. Be looking through like Jumbo Comics, Jungle Comics, Fight Comics, Planet Comics. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.